Hello, and welcome back to Psychology News. My name is Esteban Ramirez, and today we have a very interesting topic to cover in this short news segment where I'm joined with 6 other professionals. Today, we will not only be talking about aggression, but we'll also break down a research experiment and explain it step by step. The main reason why we are conducting this experiment is to get a closer answer on why are people aggressive. Many people have a different definition of what aggression is. If you ask all 7 of us psychologists to define it, I'm pretty sure you'll get 7 different answers. But a bigger question is, why are people aggressive? Is it something that is taught? Something that is embedded to us from birth? Well, we are here to try and answer that question for you. Like previously mentioned, we're seeking an answer as to why humans sometimes act aggressive. In this experiment, we will have different groups of children play in a room where some will be exposed to aggression beforehand, and our hypothesis is that those who are exposed to aggression will act more aggressive than those who were not. Tune in to the rest of the news segment to find out.
Hello, my name is Abdul El-Yamani, and in this section, we're going to explain the method and procedures done in this experiment. The participants were obtained by the head teacher of the Stanford University Nursery School. It was a total of 36 boys and 36 girls, ranging in ages 3 to 6, with the average age being 4 years and 4 months. The experimental conditions consisted of a controlled group of 24 children who would not be exposed to the model. The other 48 were divided into 2 groups, one exposed to aggressive models and the other exposed to non-aggressive models. They were divided again into male and female, then divided in half so that half the children were exposed to the same sex model and the other half to opposite sex models. The experimenter during the experimental procedure would bring the child into the playroom. The child was seated in one corner of the playroom at the table with highly interesting toys. Next, they were taken to a table in a different corner with different toys. Both models began assembling the toys, but the aggressive condition, after a minute, attacked the toys with violence. The results for the aggressive condition were identical. It took about 10 minutes for them to become aggressive, during which the experimenter took the child into another playroom. The non-aggressive conditions simply played quietly until the experimenter took them out. In order to arouse anger or frustration to test their aggressive responses, they would take a kid from each condition and bring them to a table filled with interesting toys. Then bring some less interesting toys, saying they were only allowed to play with those, while the rest of the kids got to play with the other toys. The final experimental room was filled with both aggressive and non-aggressive toys. Each child was allowed to play in this room for 20 minutes, during which judges would rate the child's behavior based on measures of aggression. There was a total of 8 different response measures in the children's behavior, with the top 4 being most revealing. First, all acts of physical aggression were recorded. Second, verbal aggression was measured by counting the children's repetition of aggressive phrases. Third, other malaggression was recorded. Fourth, non-imitative aggression was documented by tabulating the children's acts of physical and verbal aggression not performed by the adult model. Hello. In this section, we're going to talk about the results. The results observed show that 3 of the 4 hypotheses presented by Bandura, Garcia-Ross, and Shelia-Ross were supported. The children who were exposed to the violent models imitated the exact violent behaviors observed. On average, 38.2 instances of imitative physical aggression for each boy, as well as 12.7 for each girl. The model's verbally aggressive behavior was imitated on average 17 times by the boys and 15.7 times by the girls. The verbal and physical aggression were never observed in the participants that were in the non-aggressive model or those in the control group. Bandura and his associates predicted that non-aggressive models would have a violence-inhibiting effect on the children. For that, the results would show that the children in the non-aggressive conditions averaged significantly fewer instances of violence than those in the control group. The author pointed out that in the same-sex aggression condition, girls were more likely to imitate verbal aggression, while boys were more inclined to imitate physical violence. The boys significantly more physically aggressive than the girls in nearly all the conditions.
Hey guys, why does this study matter? Kids should be in a quote-unquote filtered environment because their personalities are based on a modeling process of learning behaviors from their surroundings, especially their parents, but including their friends, video games, movies, and possible real-world events like shootings. In this study, the use of violent film, and those who watched the film acted more violently after, and those who did not acted normally. Parents should control what their kid watches and does and how they act around them because all these aspects help build their personality. This study was used to show children learning aggression, whether it was by birth, when they grew up, or possibly by their parents. It can also be used to develop ways to teach children not to resort to violence and what to use in order to avoid aggression. This will help lower future violence, help schools incorporate conflict resolution even more than they already do. Thanks to this study, we know where aggression can come from, ways to avoid it, and ways to apply it in everyday life.
To finish off, we will now be giving information on real-life applications. I will now pass it over to my homie Juan.
The expectations on students have become an integral part of understanding. Rosenthal demonstrated how the expectations that researchers, teachers, judges, etc. can affect the response of participants, pupils, jurors, and so on.
And it is applied to school because researchers found that teachers referred African American children for developmental handicap assessment at higher rates than Caucasian children. And as well as in school, boys were referred in equally disproportionate numbers over girls for classroom and playground behavior problems.
It should also be noted that the researchers are always finding new ways of measuring children's intellectual abilities. And lastly, one of the modern ways is Robert Sternberg's triarchic abilities.
And that has been the Group 4 News Report. Good night.
Thank you.